Hello, PMC fans. I'm here, and I'm interviewing Mr. What do I call you? Do I just call you Johnny?
Yeah, Johnny GB Works, John.
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah. Okay.
I think
And
there's already
he's
a lot of Johns.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, I've already got J Specs to call John. It's gonna be weird, but yours would be with an H, so I don't know. Um, but yeah, coach of the Oregon Ducklets, second place last season. Um, welcome back, friend.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. J-Specs brought me in mid-season last year and really had no expectations and somehow got to the finals.
And I mean, I have pretty high expectations for you. Again, I really like your team. Plus, you have Z moves on Porygon Z and Jirachi, which is going to be insanity.
Yeah, I didn't know that Jirachi got Celebrate, and I didn't know what Celebrate did until I actually looked at it, and I felt like +1 all stats on Jirachi would be really good. And then
Yep,
Porygon Z is self-explanatory.
yep. And I mean, both of those are good mons anyway. So, yeah.
I mean,
Um,
even the Z Splash Mimikyu, I think that one would be a fun one to go with as well.
oh yeah, a lot of cool Z moves. Can't believe he. a- I'm really excited to see how a league with all Z moves allowed is going to turn out. Just as like an example for whether someone wants to unban it or not, instead of just being biased, they can actually have actual results. So,
I mean, that's a tough call. I mean, I know in my league I banned um, non-attacking Z moves just because I was unsure of what the actual power of some of these status Z moves can actually do.
yeah, I mean, um, the ones that aren't basically ancient power boosts, there's none of them that are too crazy. Some of them are pretty cool, like Z Hypnosis boosting your speed, Z Weather moves boosting your speed. I actually kind of like Z Switcheroo. It doubles your speed, so you could like trick. Oh no, you can't use that, can you? You can't trick an item because you have to hold the Z move, but it's basically just an agility boost for mons that don't actually get speed boosting moves. So yeah,
Yeah, I know ones that gave me some issues would have been like Z Rain Dance Circuitry, Z Rain Dance Manaphy, especially on the Manaphy Rain Dance.
yeah,
That's
that's
actually
really
kind of
good.
scary to give Manaphy +1 speed.
And then +3 special attack, and then rain dance with hydration.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
But yeah. What are your thoughts on the PMC? What's your opinion on it? How do you feel?
Uh, You know what? I think J-Spec's got a real solid league here. I mean, last season was a real close-knit group of guys, and Misty as well. And then this season, looking like he got some really talented players. We got Verd, defending champion, drafting a fairly solid team. Also, a bunch of returners from last season. You have Sharpino, you have Tyler, you have D-Pad coming back this season along with J-Specs. Also some new players and some I'm familiar with, such as Heavy Metal Pokemon. I've been in quite a few leagues with him, so I'm aware of his talents as well.
Yeah, I'm liking the. I was actually once I started meeting some of the people, the new people. I was kind of upset that I didn't get to come back, but fucking oh well. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a good group of people. Um, we definitely like to avoid. This is a group of people that is great at keeping out toxic assholes, basically. So it's all good feels everywhere. Unless you're Drew and you get banned and I have to take over your interviews. Hey. um, but what are your thoughts on league format in general?
I've been playing League format for almost a year. I think in 3 months it'd be a year, and it's something I find relatively fun. I play a lot of fantasy sports, so I love being able to kind of mix and match my different Pokemon like I do my favorite football or favorite basketball players. Um, it just allows me to really learn the ins and out of every Pokemon. You can have some of these lower tier Pokemon, like my personal favorite Cradily, really just stand up against some of the higher tier Pokemon like Suicune, Manaphy, 1v1. So it just really throws in an extra curveball to traditional battling, where you pretty much just brought your 6 OU Pokemon against somebody else's 6 OU Pokemon, and you either have a stall fest or you have two hyper offensive teams going against each other. League format, you're going to get a real mix of stally Pokemon mixed in with some offensive Pokemon that you may not even expect. You also learn moves. My first league, I had no idea Shiftry got Sucker Punch. I was still new to this league format thing. Was also unaware that Cradley got Mirror Coat actually, and found that to be a very useful move for Cradley. So I think it's possibly one of the funnest things created for Pokemon, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely. And honestly, getting into league format is what made me realize that how much I like competition, how much I like winning, and it's actually now that it's become so popular, I find it funny. That's what made me interested in fantasy football was league format instead of it being the reverse like usual. So I find that
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I was relatively unaware of. I mean, I played the games. I really just did not watch much of league format, and then I started watching UCL and Shady Penguins GBA season 4,
Mm.
and that's kind of what got me into watching some league format, learning some different stuff, and then actually ended up finding a league in the comment section of one of Shady's videos
Nice.
and started playing from there.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a similar story to most people. I caught Shady towards like the latter half of a season, and I mean I watched it for fucking at least a year and a half until I found someone in one of Miguel's streams actually advertising a league, and here we are. Um, but yeah, it's a nice YouTube itself is kind of a small world, so it's interesting to meet some of these. I mean, I'm meeting YouTubers now through the NPL, people I've seen on YouTube for fucking a long time, so it's really cool. But what do you feel like is a strength when it comes to your battling?
Um, I would say, hmm, I would say anticipating my opponent's prep. There are several times where I can tell what's good to bring versus my opponent, given the certain situations, seeing that if I have 4 steel types, he's pretty much going to bring a fire type or hidden power fire. So I can be able to manage and prep for that. Other than that, I mean, battling, I got quite a few flaws in that, as a lot of people do. But I feel like in my prep, I like to take time and really calculate everything, every possible scenario and situation that I can possibly be in the battle, and apply those to my battles.
Nice. That's a um, really unique answer. So cool. And on the other side, what do you feel like is one of your biggest weaknesses?
Yep, repeat that one. Cut out there.
Um, well, what do you feel like is one of your biggest weaknesses?
Biggest weakness is over predictions. That's something I really still struggle with. I go for those hyper aggressive plays and not really make what sometimes could be the safest play or just the play to scout my opponent. Best instance was actually versus Keegan, one of the guys in the MPL minors last year in a league. Instead of just going for a fire punch versus his Scizor, the obvious play, I really just over-predicted, went for a gunk shot, predicting his fairy to come in. And it's been a situation that I've really struggled with a lot in league format is I can't really make those predictions that you can on the ladder. Those very obvious plays sometimes come back to haunt you as plays that you should have executed instead of the aggressive play.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, not being able to read their opponents correctly. Kind of struggling with the value of what do you get out of this risk? Know what I mean?
Yeah, oh no, I get that completely. I mean, it's hard to go through your opponent's mind, like, does he want to keep this Pokemon, or is this his win con and he's just bluffing right now? Kind of a poker face, really. You just can't see him via the other side of the screen.
Yeah. So how do you usually plan out your drafts, if you plan at all?
Um, I really look for one Mon that I really want to use, or two Mons that I really want to use. Now, the current PMC draft I have right now, I had drafted Weavile Mega Metacham before, but the league kind of just fell apart, so I never really got to battle with it at all. So I was really focused on getting a very good Dark type and a very good offensive Ice type, and then pairing that up with Mega Metacham, which is a very excellent wall breaker, and they complement each other very well. So from there, I look at a Dragon Fairy Steel core. I think to me, that's one of the more important cores. You always want to have a good Dragon switch in. You also want to have a very good Fairy switch in, which Steel types do both of those. And then Dragon's just a very good offensive typing. If your opponent does not have a Fairy or a Steel, your Dragon types can just go in and put in a lot of work, as not much wants to switch into stab Dragon type moves.
So you basically have a checklist going in, and you kind of fill it out as you do your draft.
Yeah, I kind of make a checklist, make sure I get my good Steel, and I don't want it to be too passive.
Yeah,
You have
definitely.
some very passive Steels like Reggie Steel. I want it to be able to eat hits and be able to dish back a bit of damage, as well as be a reliable hazard setter. Most Steel types do get Stealth Rocks, which allow it to be a fairly solid hazard setter. And on the Fairy end, I'm looking for a Cleric, so I want something to Wish Pass, Heal Bell, and there's quite a few Fairies that do that. But on the Fairy end, I want to try to get one of those value picks like Aromatisse before they're actually taken up, because I feel like, to me, Florges is a little too high of price for what I want.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel you on that Steel thing. I found this out the hard way when dealing with fairies. You not only want to be able to switch into it, but you need to be able to reliably kill it, which is kind of difficult for some fairies. Like, you can't rely on your fortress to kill your fairy types, because first of all, they're going to be packing HP fire, and you're slower than them, and you're probably not going to Oko them with Durable.
Yeah, it's just a tough
Yeah.
situation there.
Yeah, you definitely want to pick up like something with just something that's strong enough to kind of fuck the fairies.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Um, but what do you feel like is one of the most overrated mons in the format?
Oh, I got you cutting out. I don't know why.
What do you feel like is one of the most overrated mons in the format?
Overrated Draft League Pokemon?
Yeah.
Um, Actually, let me just look at the tier list real quick right here. I've always felt that Clefable just really gets that notion from being very good on the ladder. I've seen it in the league, and I've really never found it to be a very good Pokemon in league, just because of the counter draft format. It's not that hard to bring your Steel type to deal with Clefable. Yes, it does get Flamethrower Fire Blast, but it can't reliably take an Iron Head or a Bullet Punch from Scizor, or take a Sludge Bomb from a Poison type, so it's very easy to counter it. Not to mention, its main three sets you're really going to see is you're going to see a Stealth Rocking, Thunder Wave, Soft-Boiled Moonblast set. You're going to see a Calm Mind, Soft-Boiled 2-attack set, or just a Soft-Boiled Thunder Wave 2-attack set. So, I mean, it's not the most tricky Pokemon to plan around. It's really just free switch-ins for your Steel types, Poison types, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely can do a lot of things, but it can't do a lot of those things well. and it's mainly just gonna be there for the thunder waving and the pretty much it. The thunder waving. That's all it does. But on the other side, what do you feel like is really underappreciated in the format?
I think Alakazam is actually very underrated. Just regular Alakazam, not Mega Alakazam. I believe it's boasting at 115 speed.
125. Or no, 120.
Yeah, 120 speed. So I mean, it's not as fast as Greninja, as Tornadus Therian, but it still provides very good speed control. Being able to outspeed a lot of potential threats, and even getting taunt support. So it's a fast taunt user, which allows you to stop hazard setters from setting up. You also get other good moves such as Encore, so you can trap hazard setters into their hazard setting moves, along with a very good ability with Magic Guard. Magic Guard. So now you can run Life Orb and not deal with recoil. There's Focus Sash sets. So I think it's just a really underrated mon that people really aren't looking at. Yes, it's frail, but I feel like it does a very good job at being a special wall breaker, and just being that good speed control for any team that's really just lacking speed.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to point out Thunderwave Alakazam is one of the best techs in the world. Switch in your fucking, I don't know, Tornadus Therian to absorb the Psychic and catch that Thunder Wave. Fuck you. I love it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not many Alakazams want to stay in versus that Tornadus Therian just because of knockoff U-turns.
Yeah, definitely.
Still not.
But it's going to be able to let Alakazam take it out. Trust me. Watch my battle against CJ from last season. It happened. It was great. But do you have any inspirations when it comes to your battling?
Not really. I kind of just battle to really just enjoy it. Yeah, everybody has that competitive fire in it, but I've really enjoyed just having fun with the battles. I enjoy seeing the different drafts. Drafting's probably everybody's favorite thing to do in League format, really.
Yeah.
Being able to see what kind of team they can build. The anger of being sniped. Fortunately for me, sniping for me has been really minimal. I've had a few major ones, but I've had sniping to a fair minimum. But just seeing everybody's reactions when something's taken that they wanted, or the surprise when stuff that hasn't been taken. Like, I'm looking at the PMC doc right now. We got Lando T, Heatran, Latias, Tapu Fini, Sylveon, not drafted. I'm just like, why are these things available?
Yeah, definitely. It's especially common in like 8-man leagues and stuff.
Oh yeah, Lando T and Latias are swallowed up right away.
Yeah, there's so many things that don't get picked up when you only have so few players that you look back at the doc and say, why the fuck were any of these things not picked up yet? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got stuff like Suicune still there, and it's just like,
somebody take it, or I'm gonna have to. Give me a bigger team.
Give me 2 more picks, and I found 2 bonds right now I would pick up in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But thank you for your time. It's been a good interview. Luckily we got to squeeze this in. I didn't expect to get any done today. But
I mean, yeah, I was surprised too. I mean, got a lot of stuff I'm getting done today. Got people coming in for vacations and visiting.
Nice.
Not to mention work, so it's been a busy schedule.
Yeah, I had to go check out the car I'm about to buy, and then also go to work. And yeah, and I think this is like my 11th interview so far. So I got.
Oh, there you go. So you got what, 5 more?
Yep. So we should be good.
Not bad at all.
But I have one last question. Uno mas question. Who is going to be the champion of Season 3 PMC?
I'm going with J-Specs. I'm looking at his team. He's in my division right now. And Protean Greninja, Kyurem Black, Delmise, Nidoking. That's just scary.
You know what I have to say about J-Specs? He's a bitch.